While the individual exaltations that gave the Solars their powers were imprisoned, their actual souls remained free. Many of the lawgivers' higher souls clung to existence in the underworld instead of accepting the cycle of reincarnation. The ghosts of the most powerful, driven and insane, screamed in rage and wept in self-pity for their lost power. In time, the Neverborn also turned their attention to the spirits of their slain enemies. Not all the Neverborn agreed, but 5 of them called out in their dreams to the ghosts of their fallen foes. Some of those ghosts listened. They would do anything, to regain their power and rule once more. The Neverborn still required the destruction of creation so they could subside into the abyss and true non-existence at last. The Neverborn did offer power, but only the power to destroy creation and plunge its ruin into the underworld, and eventually into the abyss. 10 dead Solars accepted their offer. 3 more agreed later when the last of the First Age Solars finally died, but all the rest refused. After a final period of rapid education in the customs and qualities of the dead, the Neverborn released their improved creations, their Death Lords, into the underworld. In creation, the terrestrial Exalted now ruled in the Solar's place, establishing a shogunate in place of the deliberative. Yet, as year followed year, the glories forged in the First Age failed and could not be replaced. For century upon century, dragon blood fought dragon blood, for dwindling magical weapons and resources, hiding the true reasons for their conflicts behind the ideologies of leaders long since lost to history. Throughout this era, a loose confederation of warring daimyos ruled creation, periodically united by a strong shogun, until the next disputed successional palace coup. The terrestrials were unequal to the challenge of maintaining the wonders of the First Age. The Celestial Incarnate, the greatest of the gods, now spend all their time playing the games of divinity in the Jade Pleasure Dome, rarely, if ever, looking up from the board. Gaia wanders beyond the walls of creation, only occasionally returning to heaven to visit Luna, while Autothon took an enormous group of humans and vanished into an unknown realm elsewhere to fulfill his own mysterious purpose. The borders of creation shuddered, the armies of the fair folk breached the boundaries of reality, sowing chaos and death in their terrible breakthroughs. Finally, the Death Lords too showed their hand. These creatures of dark corruption joined their might to conjure a vast, sorcerous disease within creation. The Great Contagion, as it was known, struck the world like a hammer, slaying 9 out of every 10 individuals in creation, and the dead flooded the underworld. In the midst of this chaos, as the world spiraled to a cataclysmic end in a welter of plague and fey fire, one soldier managed to win her way to the ancient seat of the defenses that protected creation. There, at the heart of the world's power, she activated those defenses and became their master. First, the dragon-blooded hero destroyed the Fairfolk armies in an incredible cataclysm of power. Then she used the nation-leveling geomantic weapons at her personal discretion to consolidate her authority, annihilating utterly anyone who opposed her. Seizing their opportunity, a cult known as the Immaculate Order, which believes the dragon-blooded Exalted had a divine mandate to rule creation, helped legitimize her actions by claiming that the elemental dragons smiled upon her. With the blessing and devotion of this widespread and fanatical cult, she consolidated her surviving terrestrial kin around her. Through marriage and adoption, blackmail and skullduggery, she united them in the Scarlet Dynasty, a sprawling political empire with her, the Scarlet Empress, as its undisputed ruler. Through it all, despite barbarian invasions, fairfolk incursions, and endless peasant rebellions, the realm has endured. For almost 800 years, the Empress ruled her dragon-blooded empire with an iron fist amid the twilight ruins of a miraculous past, a bastion of relative peace and stability after an age of conflict. 5 years ago, the Empress disappeared. Some say she is in hiding and is watching to see who will attempt to seize power in her absence. Others say she was assassinated by one of the ancient anathema. Nothing else could have penetrated her security. Regardless, she is gone. Now an epic struggle wages among the great families of the Scarlet Dynasty to seize the throne. Ambitious dragon bloods have all over the Blessed Isle been pulling back their military forces to shore up their power. In so doing, they have significantly diminished the Scarlet Empire's presence and military might in the threshold beyond the inland sea, which has birthed an equal amount of opportunity and tumult. The vanquished primordials chose to capitalize on this chaos. The long-silent Yozi restored contact with their never-born counterparts. From their study of the Jade Prison and experiments on the few Exalted who had fallen into their hands, the Yozis had figured out how not only to trap an Exaltation, but how to change its very nature, structure, and destiny without diminishing its potential for power. Despite their power, the Yozi had little access to creation. The Neverborn, too, were equally isolated, but their Deathlord's servants were not. If those ghosts could somehow break the Jade Prison and capture the solar exaltations it held, the Yozis would teach the Neverborn how to alter and use them to empower mortal souls. The Yozis stipulated only that the Neverborn must relinquish a third of the solar essences captured to the Yozi. The rest would belong to the Neverborn. As a show of good faith, the Yozi even released preliminary designs for an apparatus that could temporarily catch and hold an individual's solar exaltation. The Neverborn commanded the Deathlords to open the Jade Prison and bring them the solar exaltations, and the Deathlords set to work. Seizing their opportunity, they broke open the Jade Prison to capture the solar exaltations for themselves. Their plan only half worked. They seized some of the exaltations. Of those gained, most were given to the Deathlords on behalf of the Neverborn, and they created the Abyssal Exalted, the Chosen of the Void. These Death Knights are vile incursions of the Solar Exalted. The Yozi, in turn, created the Infernal Exalted, the Chosen of the Yozi. These green sun princes are unlike any Exalted before them, and perhaps anything else in creation. But while they claimed some of the exaltations, many more of them escaped into creation, birthing a new generation of Solar Exalted in greater numbers than had been seen since the end of the First Age. The Yozi and the Neverborn were not the only ones to create a new kind of Exalted. The humans Autothon took from creation had formed their own societies within his body in their new world. With the Great Maker's blessing and guidance, they forged the soul gems and under his instruction used them to build the alchemical Exalted, the Chosen of Autothon. Now true chaos descends upon creation. 4 years ago, the Death Lord known as the Mask of Winters marched an army into creation to attack and sack the City of Thorns. His undead citadel, the Juggernaut, now squats in the growing Shadowland there. His army's vanguard consists of not only undead horrors but also the first of the Abyssal Exalted, revealing this new kind of Exalted to the world. Now the rest of the underworld is scrambling to surpass Winter's achievement and to undermine him. Now with the forces of the underworld plotting against creation, the great families of the Scarlet Dynasty preparing for all-out civil war for the throne, and the Solar Lunar Exalted returning to creation in force, while the Sidereals plot from the shadows. The time of tumult is at hand.